Dun, dun. Shrink this. Who is texting me? You had all day. What are we doing today? Maybe we'll update some character art. You know, I never made Wilhelmina's art. Maybe that's what we'll do. Let me double check. Hello. I'm just setting up. And then all of a sudden my friends are starting to text me. I was like, bitch, you had all day. Just want to make sure I didn't draw her already. Okay, I did not. She only appears in the comics. Alright. So today I'm going to be doing art for this character. And I did draw her in the comics before, so let me grab some reference of that, just in case there's some detail that I decided to add in. So there's this, and there's one more. Black Circus. Where are you? There you are. Alright, anyway, hope everyone's doing alright tonight. Yeah, she did the grimace shake in one of the Aztecast stuff. Hey, Frost. kind of like the pose that she has there, so I might just redraw her in that pose. She's got some long ass legs though. Although I do like the pose in this one too. I think I'll just do it this way. Although I do like the narrowness of her eyes. So I'll try to keep that. Give her a smaller smile in the comments. Yeah, I saw. Not bad. I think I'll draw her with and without her glasses. Okay, let me bring up her file, because God help me if I'm gonna spell her name. Copy. Save. I'll just put it in the adopts section. It's much easier to manage. Don't worry, I got her name copied. But I'm like, I don't want to spell that. Yeah, I like her design too. That's why I bought her when she was up for adoption. Like some of these, like most of the characters that I adopt, I question why they were on the list to begin with. I'm like, these are really good designs. Why would you want to part with them? But that's just me. That's why I only made adopts one time, and I was like, I can't do that again. But I am not adopting anymore. If I do, it has to be something very specific, and for a specific reason. But I try to make it worth it. With that said, I have way too many adopts that I adopted. But I plan on using all of them in some way, shape, or form. That's the girl you want to get robot daughter. That sounds more like Stacy, but I can also see Wilhelmina doing something similar. Where she's like, huh, maybe I should try experiencing the whole pregnant mom life thing. And probably have herself get knocked up. It's either she'll purposely get herself knocked up, or to treat it like an artificial womb and pretend to be pregnant. So it could go either way. But if she wants like actual data, she would probably do it herself. And that's assuming she even does it to begin with, because it's like, what reason would she want to? Then there's the whole cloning thing too that she's in charge of. But just say no. Yeah, I hear you. Anytime I make dumb decisions, it's like, alright, time to whore out the girls. It's like, I can't buy this unless I'm making a shit ton of porn art. It's like, alright, Becky, get your fat ass over here. We gotta pay for this. Yes, she does show up in Black Circus. She's in Red's flashback when she's talking to Joanne about the whole Vor thing. And she's the one that makes the clones that are on a time limit lifespan. Because she's not risking that shit. But yeah, if I did give her like a storyline where she's like, alright, let's see what being a mother is all about, then she would either look for suitable candidates to knock her up, or she'd do some weird experiment herself. I guess you're just looking through like a bunch of files of suitable men, and she'd be like, this one's got interesting stats. No, I want my child to be smarter. She'd just be like just glossing through them all, and she's like, they all have stuff that I want, but they're all different. And then she's like, what if I just took all of them and put them together? I guess you're making some like super male mutant thing or whatever, and that's what knocks her up, and it's like some fucking monster and just has like a gigantic dick. And she's like, okay, this is a bit more than what I was expecting. And then she like uses the stretchy serum that she uses for her Vor bar on herself, so that way she can take the giant dick. I can totally see her doing shit like that. Then flash forward to her having like a child, and she's like, and that's how I made you. And the child's like, what the fuck, I just sat down. I'll take a quick look. Let's see. It's alright. I might actually already have a character from that person. Let me see. What's their name? It's probably not the same person, but they have a similar style to another character that I had adopted. But it's okay. I'm not into... there's just... I don't know. I'm semi-picky about what I adopt. It just... I don't know. It just depends on what sparks interest. Like, it's not bad, but just not vibing with me. That, and it's also like I don't want to like ignore the details that were given to the character, and so if I plan on drawing them, I also have to take into account like the patterns and tattoos and whatever that the character has, and think about if it's something I want to draw over and over and over again. So like if a character just has way too much unnecessary details for what the character is, then I just don't bother. But that's just me. Like, I know most people just use them as use adopts as like icons for their role plays and stuff like that. So my reasons are different from others. So I totally understand that. Alright, let's get your hair. Because I'm trying to like look at her, or let me, can I bring this up on screen? Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm trying to use, just put you down here. I'm also trying to use this version of her that I drew in the comic. I'm just gonna have it bigger on the other screen over here. Oh yes. Like her whole look just gelled really well with me. That's why I have her part of the Blake's second older sister's job, where she does a bunch of like the cosmetics and other experimental beauty products that they make. But Wilhelmina does the whole cloning thing on the side for extra money, so she can fund other experiments that she wants to do. So she gets paid very, very well. It's entirely possible she could have cloned Blake's foster mother if she was allowed to, but it's one of those scenarios where it's like, if there's not enough to work with, all you're really going to get is a copy of the body. You're not going to get the mind. So Wilhelmina could bring back Blake's mom, but it wouldn't be the same person. And Blake's father would not want that. And he's already accepted that she's gone at this point. You won because dear yesterday, it's okay. Brutus, my mating marvel. If she called him something like that, she'd probably say like Brutus Maximus or something. Something bullshit. But she has very poor social skills. I can see her trying to date, like she tries to make herself look nice or something like that, and then she just feels awkward the entire time. And let's fix up the head a bit. Seems a little bit too flattened. But yeah, like I could see her like going to Blake's sister for makeup and fashion advice. Or even Red. And then like I could see both of them being a big giddy that Wilhelmina's trying to date. And they try to do their best to make her look nice. And then Wilhelmina just feels really awkward. I mean, I don't know, look at me. I have like 4 OCs. None of them make any goddamn sense. And don't tell you anything about me. Like, one's a wolf angel thing, one's some type of reptile of sorts, one's a amalgamate duck, and then the other one I haven't even shown anybody. Except Nano. And none of them look like they link up to anything. Like, you can make a mild guess when it comes to like Becky, but that's about it. Everything else doesn't even look like they connect. Give her bags under her eyes because she's always working. But yeah, I can see Wilhelmina like wearing like a skippy dress to, you know, enhance her assets, which she already has clearly defined for her because she's experimented on herself a few times, which is why she's rather tall and has big ass titties. It tells us you like variety. Yeah, basically that's all you're gonna get. And then when she goes on the date, she's like trying to, you know, not look shitty walking in heels. Because she doesn't wear heels. Or at least not most of the time. She probably has some in this picture. No, these aren't heels. They're just giant legging or thigh-high boots. Or I don't even know if they're boots because she's walking on the tips of her feet. But I could just say she just walks around on boots and she doesn't wear heels. Or at least not as often. And so I can see her just awkwardly walking. I'm eating your junk food. Speaking of which, I did have fun with the Becky, Lucy, and Grace art set that I put up today. That was a fun one. Alright, let me pull back a bit. I want to get a good look at her. Let's do a little more with her hair, because in this picture her hair is more down. Not by much, but let's just do enough to vary it up a bit. But yeah, I can see like Wilhelmina trying to be in like a conversation with a guy, and then she just starts talking about experiments and shit, and just starts being weird. She would probably have some of her friends buy her just to try to coach her through it. They're like, "You're doing great." And she's like, "This is so awkward." He's like, "Why can't I?" It's like, "Why can't I just make a robot boyfriend?" He's like, "No, don't do that." Although there are machine people, but it's not the same. Because in their world, machine people kind of have their own identities, but if she's just building her own, then it's not the same experience that she's looking for. What if they're into her experimental talk? Then that's better. Better for her. But hopefully she clicks with whoever she starts rambling with. But yeah, the whole point would just be that it's awkward because she does not get out at all. She loves doing science stuff, and she doesn't have time for dating. Like, I could totally just see her just asking for like their measurements and other things like that. He's like, "All right, so what is your measurements? What is your daily routine?" Like, she's all looking at this from a science point of view, and then her friends are like, "No, no," it's just like, "Don't do that." And she's like, "What? Don't I need to know suitable stats about my mate?" And they're like, "I mean, kinda." But you don't want to like scare them off. And then I'm sure one of her friends would say like, "Well, I mean, they'd probably be cool telling you their dick size. Let's not kid ourselves." But other than that, everything else would probably be weird. And then, depending on what she's wearing, she probably have a decent amount of cleavage showing because of her friends helping her dress up. Probably would get her hair done. She probably learned about some aspects of herself that she didn't notice because she hasn't been in a scenario like this or like that, and so Wilhelmina would probably have like an awkward laugh or something that she didn't notice. And she's like, "Am I really this awkward?" And I can see her like videotaping herself just to like get data off of her bad dating experiences and then try to work on it. So that way the next time she does it sucks less. And she's like, "How did I not notice this before?" I mean, let's be honest. If she was in that kind of scenario, she'd probably get bailed out by her connections. She's much too valuable to be put in prison. She starts experimenting with women. Yeah, I could be like, huh, what if I do this? She gets like a random woman, somehow gives her a dick, and just goes from there. Or she's like, okay, what if I take? She's like, I'm too busy with my experiments. What if I just find another woman, have her get knocked up by a male, but then honestly, she probably wouldn't do that because she'd be missing out on data for herself. Like, she's not against the idea, but the whole point is that she wants to collect data of herself. And if she's having other people do it, then there's valuable information that she's going to miss out on. And then if she's not getting like the precise precise experience that she's looking for, then she'll feel the whole experiment was a letdown or a bust, and she'll want to like restart and do it all over again. Like, she's the type that wants to get it right. Not exactly the first time, because, you know, there's always going to be some form of mistake, but she definitely doesn't want to make mistakes that could have been easily avoided. Oh yeah, I could see, like, if she does meet someone's like younger sibling and they're like trying to do a science project for school, I could definitely see her taking an interest and then shows them how to make, or she could probably show them, but they probably wouldn't understand. But I could totally see her like creating actual lava or an actual volcano for the experiment or for the science project. She's like, "Oh, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm making a volcano for my science project." He's like, "Oh, really?" And then she gives them something that creates an actual volcano. Although I could see her attending the science project, or like whether it's a class thing or a fair or something. I could see her attending just to see what grade they get. And I could totally see her getting pissed off if they don't get an A. She'd be like, "What do you mean? That is actual lava. How are they not getting an A for that? Bullshit." Okay, you're the type where I need to draw their chest on another layer so I can get their assets correct. But yeah, I could totally see her, like, the person gets like a grade less than any grade that's less than an A, and she'll be like, "Ah, that they don't know what they're fucking talking about. This is A work right here." Runs on a triple battery. She should be a little bit more slender than this, though. She's like the skinny but with big tits type of body type. She just has like long ass legs. So yeah, I could say like at some point she just experimented on herself, made herself taller, gave herself big tits, though not for sexual appearance and all that. She was just experimenting with something and just ended up with big tits. And she can reduce them at any point that she wants, but it hasn't bothered her at all. She probably has like logs of her personal experimentations somewhere. She's like log number, I don't know, 469. Was experimenting with some type of growth serum or something. Ended up with big tits. She's like, not bad. Moves on. Oh yeah, I can see her being like a trippy version of Miss Frizzle. She's like, all right, today we're learning about anatomy. Grabs a shrinking ray gun. Loses half the class. Yeah, I could. Those would be pretty, pretty twisted stories if I did that. She'd probably work at like a college or a high school just so she can get more data. She has no interest in children because all they do is not appreciate science. She'd be like, no. She might find like the one student that might give a shit, but she wants more. Yeah, basically, yeah. I would say she wouldn't last very long as a teacher. Probably get arrested, but then, bailed out because of her connections. She'd be like, welcome to my science class. About half of you will probably die. And they're like, what? Like, she's joking, right? And like the ones that die, she just calls it Darwinism. Oh yeah, I could see her doing something like that. Although she does have a Catherine, so she might have a Catherine around just in case. Because like the Catherine would be able to monitor her like life signs or something if something were to go wrong. She like flatlines or something, and then her Catherine revives her, and she's like, "Did that one kill me?" He's like, "Yeah, that one killed you. Yeah, I was afraid of that." All right, so let's do this. Just keeps going on with the experiment, kind of like that episode of Family Guy, or like the flash or the cutaway gag where Peter dies on the operating table, and then the guy's like, "Oh shit, oh shit." And Freddy's like, "Did that kill me?" Yeah. He's like, "Okay, I was afraid of that." Yeah, and she just wears like skin tight boots. And like the whole gimmick thing is that she's actually really pretty when she like, dresses up and stuff like that. but she's just so super dedicated to science that she doesn't think about that. And so she gets like partial work for the White Company, which is like a fashion company in their world. And it's mostly for cosmetic stuff, which is what Blake's sister dabbles in. So it's one of those situations where she would be very, very, very gorgeous if she tried. Looks like she has like slippers on, or like shoes on top of the leggings, so I'll just make it like the same boots, but I'll just put in that detail. Oh yeah, I could totally see her doing an accidental experiment where she puts on a shit ton of weight because she was trying to like solve her hunger problems or something. So like, okay, maybe I'll invent something that lets me gain nutrients faster or more consistently or faster or whatever, so that way she doesn't get pulled away from work and then it goes wrong and she ends up like big and chunky for a little while, and then she just fixes that problem, puts herself back to normal. And then she's like, all right, we'll put that one on hold. But then, like, could totally see her selling that idea to, like, some experimental group or some, like, space group or something. And then they can figure it out. She's like, it's like, this wasn't what I made this for, but whatever, I'll just sell it to these idiots. She's like, they're supposed to be smart, they can figure it out. I could see her making robots for something like really minor, but when it comes to like the bigger things, I could see her wanting to do that herself because she enjoys it. She wouldn't want to take away the fun of doing experiments and stuff, and she definitely doesn't want to give them too much intelligence. She's like not oblivious to that scenario. I would say she's more into like chemicals and genetic experiments rather than robotic. But she's like not. She's definitely aware or knowledgeable in that area, so she's not dumb to machinery stuff. But she does have a preference. Let's fix this. Oh, really? Interesting. I'm gonna erase that in a moment. Just making sure she has everything I want her to have. So she has a really high skirt, lab coat thing. What if she cloned herself? She would not want to do that because she does not want to get into the whole who's the original nonsense and potentially her clone trying to kill her. Especially if they have like the same memories and the same intelligence. If it was more of like she makes a clone from scratch, but then like the clone doesn't have any of her memories or anything like that, she might do something like that. But even then, that's still a hassle because then she has to deal with the whole like, okay, well now I gotta take care of this thing, and it probably just suck time from anything else she was working on. So she probably wouldn't do it. I think at most she would experiment with the whole time limit based clones that she already does for the Vor stuff, and that's when she would use herself for that because it'd be on a time limit. And then depending on what she does would decide if that's a good idea or not. So like if it's from scratch and they have no memories, then it doesn't matter unless they like freak the fuck out and try to kill her or something. If they have her memories, then they would try to like make something within their time limit to avoid dying and then go from there, which might be a problem. So I think it's just better if she doesn't. But she usually takes enough safety precautions to avoid any actual problems. And make her ass just a little bit bigger. And give her some thigh squish. Back to the old dating thing, I could totally see her asking like a male, when is the best sexual intercourse hours or some shit like that. He's like, oh, when are you at your peak, or how much do you ejaculate? And he's like, And at first, like, I could totally see like at first, like, men think that's kind of kinky or whatever, but then like she becomes like a little bit too obsessive. And then that's when she has to learn to kind of like cool her jets. I could totally like if she ever gets far enough to get into like bed with anybody, I could totally see herself like giving herself a serum to up her sexual activity. Just make her a fucking machine in bed. But then again, if she wants like actual data, she probably wouldn't mess with herself. She'd probably want to see the natural experience before she decides to manipulate it. Yeah, I would say she's the type where she wants to try something normal first, see how it goes, gather whatever information she can from it, and then fuck with it. Because, you know, when you're doing science stuff, you want to observe something, see if you can control it, and then go from there. And let's change this. Because that's what most scientists do. It's like, if you can perceive it, then you can observe it. If you can observe it, then you can control it. Or you can interact with it, and if you can interact with it, you can control it. Yeah, but then you don't want to get into the whole competition of which one is smarter. It's kind of like the twins in Invincible, how they purposely mix up who is the original, so that way they don't have certain conflicts. But the problem is that they still keep fighting over who is the original and who is smarter, even though they're exactly the same. And they've done it like multiple times, to the point where even Robot is like, I don't know why you keep doing that. Like, the clear answer is to make it super obvious on which one is the clone, and then safety measures on if the clone tries to kill you. That's what you would theoretically do. But then there's like more problems with that too. Like, it's almost like the character Twice from My Hero Academia. It's like that situation as well, where he wasn't sure if he was a clone or not. Yeah, and that would be the argument. It's like, well, I'm smarter, and it's like, we're exactly the same. We're both smart. But then they would try to one-up each other in terms of, like, anytime either of them get an equation wrong or something, there's always going to be some form of conflict. And it would be idiotic. And they would both start making mistakes that they shouldn't be making. And it's only due to ego. Like, that's the problem. Because if at any point one of them calls the other one the clone, then that's the start of a problem. Unless they're like 100% in sync, where they're just like almost like twins type of thing, like actual twins, then they should be fine. But I could totally see at some point there's gonna be like some form of a ego trip problem. Or it could be nothing, or they could be completely fine the entire time, because they understand the assignment and would rather work on science stuff than to fight. But it would be interesting to see them fight. I could see them like trying to fight each other, and then they make like a whole like science battle where they're trying to like kill each other, but neither succeed, and then they finally stop and do something different. She can inject other people with dating experiences into her brain. Yeah, I can see her trying to do that. Just take the information from other people's brains. But it probably wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the experience she would actually want, though. She's like, yeah, I took their memories, but it's not me doing it. I think it's just information she would not want to skimp out on. She'd be too curious to let it go. So assuming she did end up having a kid through all this, it'd probably be some she'd probably treat them more as like either an assistant or just like a pet that she wouldn't want to see, you know, harmed, because, you know, that's her experiment. She would have a hard time recognizing. She'd have a hard time being a mother. That's like the best way to put it. She wouldn't register being a mother or have any parental emotions attached. Opportunity to fight twins that modded themselves to sync their thoughts. That's interesting. Yeah, but yeah, I can see her doing like other experiments before she actually tries dating herself, and then goes from there. Like she tries a bunch of other stuff, and then like Red or anybody else would be like, "Well, why don't you just try going out on a date?" And she's like, "What?" So yeah, just have the experience yourself. Why would you want to? Why would you want to miss out on valuable? Like they would like try to twist it to something that she would actually be interested in. So it'd be like, why would you want to twist the information when you can, you know, have your own experience to dabble with? And then she would like sit there and think for a moment. And she'd be like, you know what, that's a good idea. It's like, you're right. I shouldn't be messing up my data with somebody else's information. I should be using my own that she's obtained herself. So yeah. It's like one of those, like, if your friends know you well enough, they can manipulate you in a certain way. So that's probably what her friends would do. They would make it sound like a good idea. Which it is. But they would just know how to work her habits. So it would probably be like Red and maybe Ambrosia giving her the idea to do it. And then she does have her Catherine, so if she did end up with a kid, she'd probably have her Catherine do most of the babysitting. I think Wilhelmina wouldn't care too much about her child until she's much older. And she starts thinking about, you know, what she's doing with her life a little bit more. But definitely not in her early years. But unfortunately, it'd be like a scenario where she won't care until it's like too late to care. Where her kid may not view her as like a parent type of thing. So unless she's like active in their life, it'd probably be like a horrible relationship scenario. Oh, you found a bug. I haven't played Cyberpunk. I need to watch the cartoon show though. I saw like a clip or two of it and I thought it was good, but I haven't watched the whole thing. The auto drive function. Yeah, I like Rebecca's design. I like the memes people would do with that one scene with her holding the gun up to whatever the main character's name is. And people were swapping her with Cream the Rabbit. And I thought that shit was funny. Speaking of Cream, she's a little fucking savage, because in the Sonic Racing game, if she is with Vector, she'll tease him by, or she'll mess with him by saying her mom will be very happy if he lets her win the race. And I'm like, oh, that is savage, because in the comics he is having a relationship with Vanilla, which it's like loosely confirmed, because they've been pairing Vector with Vanilla ever since Sonic X. And so, and the comics are supposed to be canon to the games now. So it's really interesting where they're doing that more often. And plus, Vanilla has given Vector some of her food with chopsticks, and it's, I think that counts as an indirect kiss. So it's only a matter of time before they do more between the two. Because right now Sega is still iffy with on-screen relationships, aside from those two, which is like the most clear that we've ever gotten. Because it's like those two, and then it's like Whisper and Tangle. Sonic and Amy is still like on and off of whether or not anything's gonna go anywhere. And then before that was Sonic and Sally, which was like the relationship for like decades. It's a new update. When you try to turn on the radio, I would not. Oh, that's weird. Hopefully they fix that. Oh, main character's name is David. Okay. Yeah, I'll have to watch it. I know it's good, because I saw, especially that one scene with fucking Rayman. I was like, wait, what? When he's eating sushi off that cow's ass. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. I could totally see any of my characters doing that shit, and it'd be great. That's something like fucking Lucy would do. But yeah, like I know the series is good. I just haven't watched it yet, so I'll have to make time for it. I would definitely like to show Wilhelmina meeting like the rich people for the first time, and she just has like all like her like notes and data and stuff like that to help to try to like impress them, so that way she can get funding or whatever it is that she's trying to get. And then that's when Ambrosia takes interest. And she's like, okay, you help me with cosmetic stuff, and I'll help fund your unconventional experiments. And Ambrosia is relatively smart too, so I could see the two hanging out often to this, you know, exchange information and stories and stuff like that. And then that's why Wilhelmina would go to Ambrosia for dating advice and fashion advice. Oh yeah, I should probably bring up who the hell Ambrosia is, because I keep mentioning her, but I don't know if you guys remember who she is. Like, I already said she's Blake's sister, but that doesn't entirely mean that you guys know what I'm talking about. She was on this page. Let me make sure that there's no nudity on it. No, we're good. So, this is Ambrosia. That's Blake's other sister. You can get Rebecca's shotgun in the game. That's cool. I like it when they tie anime to games and you can like unlock hidden stuff. Honestly, with Sonic, their only real weakness at the moment is making things more clear between the comics and the games and just carry things over. It's that, and I wish they would not focus so hard on just speed running all the levels, because in like the classic era, even though your character, even though Sonic can run pretty decently fast throughout the levels, you're still spending enough time in the levels to like look at the environments or like take alternate paths and stuff like that. Whereas the I want to say the Unleashed and Frontiers, well, Frontiers is a whole different thing, but like the Unleashed and Generations levels, it's like they're all highly detailed, but you're blazing through them so quickly, there's like no time to really appreciate what was put in there. And like, yeah, there's enemies, but you blast through them so quickly, it's like, damn, did you even know the enemies had special animations? Like, Crab Meat, if he hits Sonic, he actually laughs. And then the way the enemies are placed in those games just make little sense, because it's like, okay, here they are standing in a line, or like spread out, and you either blaze through them or you hit them in such a way that it was virtually impossible for them to even have a chance to damage you. And they just literally they just feel like combo extenders, and that's it. They don't do anything. I don't know, that's just me. Like, I like spending time in the environments of games, because the environments usually give you a little bit more lore to the world. So I would like a Sonic game that's like, you know, in the 3D era or modern era, but plays like the classic era, where you spend a little bit more, like basically Sonic Adventure. That'd be like the best way to put it, where you're running at a decent pace, but there's still enough time to appreciate the environment that you're running through. I think that's what I want. I just want like another Sonic Adventure 1 era type of gameplay. You can also get David's jacket. That's cool. Yeah, see, little Easter eggs like that or extra world building items is always fun. But yeah, I feel that there's a lot of potential with Sonic games now more than ever because of both the comics and extended characters and stuff like that. That Sega needs to start capitalizing off of their extended lore. She makes her own Sonic OC in the lab. Go. We'll do the hazard symbol last. But yeah, I think we're just in that situation where until certain things happen, we're just gonna be not exactly trapped, but we're just be in a situation where certain games don't get to really evolve and expand. Especially when it comes to like characters and relationships type of thing, it's like it makes no sense to not have characters be able to progress. It's like the situation they did with Mario and Peach, where it's like, oh no, they're just good friends. And I'm like, really? And it's really back to the whole Bowsette situation. It's like Bowser's like, all right, we'll do it ourselves type of thing. And then Nintendo had to come up with a whole reason for why the crown or whatever the hell it was called, I forget what it was called, only works on Toadette. Some James Bond stuff, that's cool. But yeah, it almost feels like they're afraid to give characters these extensions because they're trying to sell to kids. And it's like, you realize kids like story, right? They like seeing characters go from one event in their life to another. That's why it's always fun to talk to kids about the Super Crown. There we go. That's why it's always fun to talk to kids about like certain games and stuff like that, because they'll go on and on and on about where the characters started, who their friends are, who their relationships are, where they are, who's the villain and stuff like that. They will go on and on and on about that, and it's really entertaining because you'll see how passionate they are about it. Especially when you tell them information that they weren't aware of, and then they start putting two and two together and like, oh, so that's why this and this and this happens. I'm like, yeah, that's why. And then it's just more and more fun because you're seeing them have the same passion that you have, because even though you saw it happen slowly because you were there when all that stuff was introduced, it's fun to see them see that situation unfold because it was right there in front of their face, and all you did was give them a little nudge to clarify a few things, and now it made them more interested than they were before. But games like Mario, Sonic, and there's probably a few others that I'm not thinking of right now because those two are like the most prominent ones, are like afraid of extending that, which is weird because the best example of knowing that it works out is Kermit and Miss Piggy, as well as Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. It's like we clearly know that their relationships work, or even Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, or if you want to go with Pac-Mom now, same thing. It's like we know it works, so why are they afraid of expanding on that? Mario and Peach, I can see that being like a back and forth relationship because of Bowser constantly kidnapping Peach, and who knows, Peach is probably tapping Bowser for all we know. But with Sonic, it's like we had clear characters for Sonic to be in relationships with. They can always use Sally again if they want, because they own the rights to her. And she's also the most well-known relationship for Sonic to be in with, although they might try to mix that up with Amy in some way, which personally I'm not against it, but it's really hard to break the whole Sonic and Sally team up, but or pairing up, but yeah, it's like they have the examples, they know it works because they've done it themselves already, and it's just weird that they're trying to avoid it. And yet at the same time, they're trying to just tell us that Vector and Vanilla are dating. So it's like, okay, so you're not afraid of doing it, but you don't want to do it to the main character, at least not right now. Even though you did it before, and it was like over 20 years worth of story. It's Witcher related? I have no idea. I know nothing about The Witcher. But that's cool if they added in some like hidden Easter egg for that too. But yeah, I'm just kind of waiting for certain game franchises to kind of move past their weird hang-ups when it comes to character progression. That and bringing back series that should be continued on, like F-Zero and Star Fox. And they just gotta stop making weird decisions based on trying to be innovative based on what their new console is. Because, like, for the Switch and even the Switch 2, they spent time just saying, like, oh, look how good our sound quality is coming from these controllers that nobody gives a shit about. It's like, it feels like that you're holding ice inside there. It's like, guys, we literally don't care. And none of your games, except for like Mario Party, even make use of that idea. Like, why are we wasting time and money on things nobody cares about? Because that was the problem with Star Fox Zero, is that they were adding in shit nobody needed. And yet it was cool that they were using ideas from Star Fox 2, but using the pad to switch to like using the walker mode and whatever else that was in there was just kind of weird. And then it was mostly just a remake of Star Fox 64. Just slightly less interesting compared to 64. FF06B5. At the end, you get a monster truck. I'm like, what the fuck? I'll type that in on YouTube and and watch it after the stream. Cyberpunk. And then I'll just type in that number. Okay, I have it set up for later. Oh, you can get it without it, but it's not sent. Yeah, I like it when some situations give you like context or whatever the case may be to why you ended up with whatever you ended up with. And it just seems more fun. Kind of like how in Mega Man X, there's two ways of you getting the X Buster or the Super X Buster, whatever it's called, the white armored one. And you can either get it through a capsule, or you get it for when Zero dies in the first game. And it's like interesting how they gave you like two different options of getting the weapon. I forget what happens if you get it from Zero and then go back to where the capsule that had it would be. I forget if there's like two versions of it where you get like a more upgraded one, or if it's replaced with like a extra life or something. I'll have to play the game at some point again to see. No, I'm not doing commissions. This was a character I adopted a while back, and I'm just giving her character artwork because I've used her in the comics already. I just haven't drawn her own artwork because I like drawing the characters rather than using the original artist's work. I do credit them though, and post the original work alongside with this version, so that way people know where it's from, because I always label these characters as adopted so they know that I did not originally come up with them, because I don't like taking credit like that. Let's do this song. Nintendo is always thinking of how video games can go beyond the traditional controller, but give up on it when they can't think of anything to do with. Yeah, like they always try to wow people with whatever gimmick the new console can do, or at least when the Wii became a thing, that's when they started doing that. And the Wii and I think the DS, but they're always trying to come up with like gimmicks that the console can do, and all people care about is just playing new games and playing like sequels and other stuff. It's like, guys, we just want to play games. Why do we gotta make this more complicated and expensive than it needs to be? Like, it's bad enough that the console costs like a fucking arm and a leg. We really don't need to know that it can microwave your Hot Pocket, and you'll only use that function like one time before you opt into using just a fucking microwave because it's faster. It's like, guys, what are we doing? And then I'm also curious of, since they're re-releasing Mario Galaxy, I'm very curious on if they will keep in the Rosalina lore, or if they'll change it. Because they snuck it in when the game first came out, So I'm curious on if they'll change it. Along with that, I don't know why the hell they're jumping all the way to Mario Galaxy so fucking quickly in the Mario movie. Like, even the first movie, even though I liked the first movie, I felt like they were speed running a lot of stuff that they could have been saving for, like, sequels and stuff like that. It's like, oh, here's Super Mario, but we're going to introduce, like, several power-up stuff all at once, like the ice powers and all that, which they should have saved for another time. And then it's like, so we're just not going to do Mario 2, Mario 3. 2 was understandable because 2 is more of a dream world type of scenario. But 3, they could have saved for like the Koopalings and all that. Which, who knows, they might throw them into Galaxy as well. But it's just kind of weird that they would just speed run that. Because, like, they were going to introduce Yoshi, and it was like, okay, they're doing Mario World. And then it's like, nope, we're doing Mario Galaxy. I'm like, you guys are just jumping way ahead. It's like, damn, you didn't even try to give it some air. Like, the Sonic movies are kind of did the same thing, but they still learned how to spread it out a little bit more. It's like, okay, the Sonic 2 movie, here's Tails and Knuckles. I was like, alright. We're not taking our... Well, to be fair, with Tails, there wasn't really much being added when Sonic 2 came out. It was just, here's Tails, and then you just go through the levels like you normally would with Sonic. In Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, there's like a whole story and arc going on. So that made sense. And then going into Shadow's story, I'm not against it. I kind of wish they held off on it just a little bit more, but and did like Metal Sonic first. But it is what it is. And then tossing in Amy with Metal Sonic was just kind of like, wait, are we just gonna speed run this? So if they do make another movie, I hope they know what they're doing in terms of like character introductions and character usage. Because if we're just gonna throw in Metal Sonic as just like a quick throwaway character, then it just kind of seems cheap. They're adding the lore Miyamoto took out. Well, Miyamoto never even wanted it in the first place. His whole thought process was just have the game be the story type of thing and not tell you everything. Whereas they snuck in that information without Miyamoto knowing. And I don't know if it's something that will stay. It probably will if I'm thinking about it. They'll probably keep it in because it was already there. And it makes no sense to take it out now. Like, I can't see them taking it out just because they're going to be petty about it, so I think it's going to stay. But, it would just be very interesting if they did take it out. Because they were like, damn, they really wanted that out. Because the whole story was that Rosalina was potentially Luigi's kid from another timeline. Especially when they show you that there's two Luigis in the game. And they kind of hint that this is a different timeline. And then all the stuff that's in Rosalina's lore that she describes is at the end of the game. Like, they show you the lone tree that her mother is buried under. And it's the only tree in the game that they show. that's like that. So there's no mistaking what she's talking about. And that her father wore green and had a mustache. So they pretty much tell you who she is and where she's from, but they also make it clear that there's alternate timelines. Up a bit. Let's try to make this a little bit more round. There we go. But yeah, that's just me when it comes to character progression. Like, I feel that's in some ways they're purposely keeping characters from moving forward, or they'll retcon storylines that don't make sense. Kind of like the whole Donkey Kong with Pauline thing. It's like, well, for the Bonanza game, it's like, wait, now I'm confused. Because for the longest time, they were saying Pauline was the same woman that gets kidnapped in the original Donkey Kong game. And then Mario captures him, and that's when DK Jr. has to go free him because Mario is keeping him in a cage in the next game. So now it's like, okay, so are we retconning things, or are we trying to clarify something? It's kind of like with K. Rool too. It's like, oh, K. Rool was imprisoned somehow. Like, I'm willing to see where they're going with this. It's just kind of weird that they're playing it out that way. And it might be further explained in the DLC that's coming out, so who knows. Although in Pauline's case, they kind of explain it in the ending of the game, so it's kind of hard to mistake what's going on there. With K. Rool, not really, because if we're going off of the time frame of the game, we gotta figure out when that happened. Because if we're going off of Pauline being younger, that means all this stuff happens before K. Rool is missing in action after Donkey Kong 64. So it doesn't explain why he's gone now. And it's only because of Pauline being younger. So that means this all takes place in the past. Unless Pauline fell through like a time rift or something. Then you could say, yeah, sure, this is all in the present. And yes, this would explain why K. Rool has been missing. But if they don't explain that this is all a time rift thing, which I don't know if they did in the game, like I haven't played Bonanza, I only know a little bit of it. But if they don't explain that Pauline came through a time rift, then that's what makes it confusing. So yeah, it just boils down to whether or not Pauline came through a time rift. which I don't know. So if she did, just let me know. But yeah, that's like the one factor that ruins that thought, is whether or not she's from the past. But even then, if she is from the past, then why would she call for help when she gets kidnapped by Donkey Kong when she's an adult? Because by that logic, she shouldn't be afraid of him. And that's what happens if you try to introduce time logic, because that means it would have to retcon the original story. And they can't say that the woman is not Pauline or Jumpman is not Mario, because they constantly said both of them are those characters in the past. So they'd have to really think hard on that. It's either they think hard on that, or they hope to God that nobody remembers the damn story. Which most gamers usually remember everything. It's like, nah, that's not what happened. And like, honestly, if companies want to retcon their stories and stuff like that, they should just say so from the beginning. Or even just say, like, this is a different timeline of events so that we can see what blank 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 happens. And I'm pretty sure most fans would be completely fine with that. It's like, usually fans are fine if you just straight up tell them instead of trying to hide it. Like, a lot of the time they're really chill if you just told them what you were doing from the start. Though to be fair, with certain games that doesn't work when you change something that everybody liked. Like The Last of Us, for example. Especially if the change just results into something much weaker than what you had. Then that's when everyone gets pissed. It's like, wow, we had something really cool, and then you just took it away just because you were trying to say a message or some bullshit. And then everybody's pissed. Okay. Got all that. We will add her glasses later. And she'll be just tossing up some kind of serum that she already had, that she's made, similar to that picture. I could totally see Wilhelmina like getting with the guy, and then if she manages to get into bed with him, she sees his dick and she's kind of like disappointed or something, and she's like, "Here, take this," and he's like, "What's this?" And she just straight up tells him, "He's like, it'll make your dick bigger," and he just fucking chugs it. Like no hesitation. He's like, "All right," and it becomes just like a hyper scenario. Hypersize. And she's like, that's more like it, but then she sees that she gave him a little bit too much, and she's like, oh shit. Yeah, right? It's like, what? Like, most guys are not gonna argue with that. They're just gonna be like, alright, cool. Just gives him a fucking monster. And then she'll probably tell them that it's only temporary, but still, they're not gonna complain. She might need to take a serum to make herself more stretchy, but aside from that, it's a win-win. And she already knows that her serum works due to the Vor bar, so she can take that without any problems. So yeah, I think a lot of her charm will be just her being a fucking nerd or a science geek, and she just uses that for her social life. And then, like, when her friends check on her, she's like gone on several dates and like taken DNA from all the suitable males that she's hooked up with, and she just wants to create like a super male that she can just go to town on anytime she wants. Just this big giant like amalgamate with a huge dick. That's basically what she does. God forbid. Oh yeah, and she does the typical joke: if it lasts more than 4 hours, see a doctor. And they're like, "Can I just talk to you?" And she's like, don't mention me." She's like, "No, I'll get arrested." Alright. Aside from some cleanup, we're pretty much done with her line art. Move on to coloring her. I'll use the one from the Grimace Shake because that has the colors I want. Is there anything that I need to grab specifically? I think we're good. Unless I want to turn off the purple. Number 94. Let me check. Dun dun. Yeah, let's turn this off just so it'd be easier to get colors off of her. Because I always make small adjustments to certain things, so if I've already done it in the past, it's easier just to grab it from there than to start all over. Oh, forgot her tail. I was like, wait, something's missing. Forgot her tail. Luckily, even if I did everything and then remembered her tail, the way I draw things makes it really easy to put things back. Yeah, the glasses I'm doing last because I want to do 2 versions of her with and without her glasses. But her tail is definitely something I should be putting in right now. So yeah, her glasses are going to be an accessory that I can turn on and off. It's kind of like with this, where see I can turn off the goo or the shake. It's basically like that. It just makes things more easy and fun. And I've done that with like several other characters and pictures. I want to redo Marcy's dad's artwork. I do not like it. He just looks too stiff. And granted, a lot of these pictures I draw is just them standing because I want to show enough information of the character. But in the future, I'm not against having them be in like a more action-based pose. But their initial pics will be them just standing, so that way we can get a good look at them. Because I think that was like a thing people had told me in the past, where they would like they would like to see the character before they're in like a action pose. And her short fluffy tail. I can see Wilhelmina like in the morning. She like does her like measurements to see if she needs to like adjust anything. She's like, huh, gain 2 pounds. Gain 2 pounds. Might need to adjust diet or something like that. Can see her doing something like that. And her just like analyzing everything. Would be funny to see her go to like a public gym and she sees like a few people working out and she gives them like advice to help maximize whatever it is they're doing. And she just like makes like a comment here and there, like she's not even trying to help. She just notices something. She's like, "Oh, do this and this and this, and you'll get better results." And they're like, "Oh, thanks." And just like an off comment, she's not even really paying attention to the conversation itself. She's just making a comment for it. Let's bring this up a little bit more. And she probably does like the same thing for women too. Or most likely she would. round out her ass. I could definitely see Wilhelmina trying to extend her youth. In whatever way she can. Obviously, she won't be able to solve every problem, but it'll be fun to see her try. Slow this down just a little bit. Yeah, exactly. Like, I could see her probably making, like, clones or something in the future, but, like, the clones are, like, just slightly different with each iteration. So even though it's technically her, there's, like, enough difference to classify as a different person. So they're almost like her children / clones. Like, I can see her doing that. Like, she ends up having, like, actual children, but she just, like, inserts herself into their bodies or something, and she just has them on standby for whenever one of them perishes. That's assuming I allow her to get that far with life experiments. Assuming, like, a celestial doesn't, like, interfere with the potential of that happening. Because there's always a possibility that a god has to, like, prevent certain things in order to keep the balance of the universe. It's like, alright, we can't allow mortals to discover immortality because that will fuck up a whole bunch of things. Maybe not right away, but it'll eventually happen, and so gods are like, okay, we gotta put a stop to that. Because then certain gods like death have, I guess, not, like, less meaning isn't the point, but, like, it affects the whole, like, life cycle of things. The whole circle of life thing. And if there is individuals that have immortality, it's, like, few and far between, not like a whole fucking civilization. Okay, so I think we're good with her. Let me just make adjustments to her artwork since I drew her so fucking small, because I have that problem. Might need to fix that foot though. Yeah, I think I'm gonna fix the foot to be more flat. Because of the way she's positioned. Because it should be more like... should be a little bit more like that. And then round it out. But I guess I would assume she's wearing heels. I guess it's fine. I don't need to mess with it. It's probably not going to bug me too much. Alright. So back to picking your color. Okay, is there any detail in here that I should mess with? It's probably this little spot right here. There's technically an easier way to do this, but it's also based on how I drew her. And I really don't feel like cleaning up stuff, so I'm just going to do it this way. Yeah, I can see her like pulling all-nighters to get something done because she's super invested in an experiment, but then she takes like the extreme amount of sleeping time after she's done with a project to make up for it, because she's fully aware that it'll affect her brain power, but she's like torn because she's like, but I want to finish this, but I need to sleep, fuck. And he's like, I can get it done now. He's like, yeah, but you might be better if you do it after you get some sleep. And she's like, "Ugh." Goes to sleep for like 8 or so hours, wakes up refreshed. She's like, okay, that felt good. But I can see you're getting a little pissy about it. Unless she tries to invent a way to not sleep, but that would probably be bad for her in the long run. Be like that one woman from Meet the Robinsons, where she makes the coffee batch. It's like, I'm gonna wait for days with no side effects, and screams. I can see Wilhelmina being a big coffee drinker, though. She just has, like, big old jug full of coffee. She would probably be deeply fascinated by Becky if she ever met her. She'd be like, how is this possible? Yeah, if she ever met Becky, she probably wouldn't leave her the fuck alone. She's like, I have to know, how did this happen? And then Becky would just like make snide remarks like, my mom fucked without a condom, that's how it happened. Oh, I'm sure I made some kind of mistake with the Grimace Shake thing. Oh, that's just because I turned off the thing. See? Yeah, all this stuff I turned off. Just to make it easier to grab the colors that I wanted. Yeah, I put all this stuff in layers to make it easier to get what I want. Because I know I'm going to come back in the future to grab something, and I'm just making future me have an easier time. Hello. Yeah, I try to future-proof certain things so that way I'm not struggling in the future. Like right now, it's probably much easier if I just did this. It's like, why am I making this difficult for myself? Especially with colors that will be overlapped by other colors. It's like, dumbass, just do it this way. And then whatever you don't need, you just delete. Like, the black will go on top, so I don't even need to deal with that. There. Now I don't have to think about missing any coloring areas or something. I can just move on. And of course, you know, clean up any areas that I missed. Well, this part I didn't need to mess with because it would have been another color on top. But something like the neck and all that I do need to clean up. Note to self, get water after stream. I might make her gloves a little bit darker, just so they're not the same color as her hair. So we'll do that. Because this will be her official art anyway. And the triangles are black, right? Oh, forgot her titty triangles. She has them in this one, but she doesn't have them in this one. Oh yeah, a lot of this I can see. We're learning a we're learning a valuable lesson in what we do and do not need to do. So here's me coloring this just because it was already there. But for her gloves, we can just do this. And again, just erase what we don't need. Same thing for her thigh highs. There. Makes the job easier. And just delete whatever we want to fix. Oh, just realized that I erased the wrong thing on that. There we go. I can see her getting kicked out of like some kind of science related community or something because of her unorthodox experiments. And then that's when she gets picked up by other characters. I mean, there could be quite a number of characters that end up doing something similar to her. Because obviously she wouldn't be the only one trying to do something. And then never really colored her eyes in the other one, so I'm gonna go for like the brighter green that she has in her original art. I can see someone making a comment, it's like, wait, so you modified your body, but you didn't like fix your eyesight? And she could just simply just reply like, I like glasses. Like, she likes her glasses. Gives her a bit of more character to require her glasses. So you're just waking up with bedhead, and she's just like, ah, fuck, where is everything? Looking for her glasses. She stumbles around her office because she probably wouldn't have she probably wouldn't use her bedroom. She would just sleep in the office. See her get yelled at for doing that. It's like, you need proper sleep. And that she does wear makeup, but it's all smudged. How does her makeup look like on her eyes over here? I would say she has a little bit of makeup on her eyelids. Why not? She kinda has it in this artwork. Find like a good size. Like, it doesn't need to be super noticeable. Just enough. And it looks like it goes around here too. Okay, majority of her is done. Just gotta do whatever it is she's flipping around in that vial. And then I can move on to the rest of her. Save. I think if she was in a game, I could see her like the main character coming up to her for like help or something, and she's like, "What? A gun? Sure, here, take it." And she just gives you like some like ridiculous weapon without any care, and it's probably like really good, but it like has limited ammo or can only be used so many times or something. So she just gives you like the one of the best weapons in the game, but she just like tries to shoo you off because she's busy with something else. And it's like she was like so hung up in her work that she doesn't realize that she just gave you like a stupidly powerful weapon. Yes, yes, she is. If she was a boss, good lord, who knows what she would attempt to use to kill you. She'd probably use like clones of previous enemies or something, but they're like stronger. And maybe makes a clone of your team or character or something. I could see her doing that. And I'll make this glow with green in the future. We'll do that later. She definitely used some Catherines to fight you with before she starts getting more serious. I could also see Wilhelmina making like a clone of herself, and then having that clone go live a normal life that doesn't have anything to do with it, with science. Just like have like an actual social life. And then like the first Wilhelmina will be like monitoring the second. And just like jotting down any data or notes or something. She'd be like, oh, she got married. Neat. Well, she probably wouldn't shrug it down that easily. She'd probably be a bit interested in seeing where that goes. She'd probably like judge her husband or something like that. Be like, huh, he doesn't really seem breeding material or something like that. Or like, you know, he doesn't seem like a suitable mate, but she chose him, so there must be something to him. And she just kind of observes. Almost like watching a soap opera of her own life. And then if she happens to decide to go visit herself, they'd have to like make up some excuses like, oh, this is my twin sister who also has the same name as me. Ah. And then the second Wilhelmina would be like, what are you doing here? And she's like, oh, you know, I'm just dropping in, seeing what's up. Seeing how my little experiment is going. And then that would confuse the second Wilhelmina if she's not aware that all this is an experiment. And she's like, what, did you choose my husband? Like, no, everything you've done has been your decision. I've just been watching. I was like, wait, so you've been watching me fuck? She's like, yeah. It's like, what? It's like she'd be like, that's so inappropriate. I'm like, why are you in my private life? He's like, well, technically it's my private life. You're just living it. That'd be a weird conversation to have with herself. Then it'd be a matter of whether or not Wilhelmina would erase the memories of the second one if things got too hectic. Like if the second one started tripping out over whether or not her life was being orchestrated or puppeteered. And the first Wilhelmina would be like, no, it's not like that. And then just fucking mind wipe her or something, or just make her not remember something in the past few hours. And just avoid interacting with her again. It's like, okay, let's not do that again. Depends on how interested Wilhelmina would be in into that kind of experiment. But it would be an interesting story. It's almost like that weird moment or season in Family Matters where Steve Urkel makes a clone of himself. That was a weird time. It's like, God, you're referencing fucking Family Matters. How old are you? Which is a statement because the show is older than me. If I were to put Wilhelmina in a game, I would give like a scenario where you defeat all of her experiments and all that's left is her, and make it so that the player doesn't know that if you don't kill her after a certain number of turns, she'll just be like a character to use in your party. But if you kill her, she has like, or if you attack her, she literally has like 1 point of health and like practically no defense because she doesn't modify herself to that level, and so you just end up killing her. But then you'll like speak with her clone or something in the future when you need to go back to her lab or something. But like if you spare the original in some way, then she becomes playable and she's just like a really crazy support character that gives you like ridiculous buffs if you have her in the party. And maybe even like a single use or once per battle auto revive. That'd be fun. Make her just like a stupidly powerful character if you can obtain her. No, not that one. I want the other one. Let's see what this one sounds like. No, not that one. Where's the other one? Maybe. That might annoy her. Damn it, I really cannot find that theme. Oh well. I'll probably find it later after the stream. Be like, oh shit, that's the name of it. Anyway. Seriously, they should have just had this theme as Cynthia's battle music. This song is much more intimidating. There it is. That's the one. I would love to see Game Freak make a horror game. Just to see what they do. I would say Wilhelmina's theme would probably be something similar to this song. Something all sciencey sounding. And that's assuming she's like a boss. Dexter's Lab. Let's make these a little bit more shaded. And I will be right back. And I am back. Okay. Ha ha ha. I have to turn that off so I can do this. Next is this step. She is one of the science friend that Red has in Black Circus. Yeah, mostly just doing my take of her while still trying to retain what made her interesting. And then, of course, I'll put her glasses on afterwards because I'm gonna make that a object that I can turn on and off, just to have different versions of the artwork. Don't think I need to do this. Yeah, no point doing that. If I really wanted her to go like crazy if she was in a game, I would probably make her do the whole Resident Evil bio transformation thing. Just make her go crazy. It's like, why not? She's an evil scientist. Well, maybe not entirely evil, but something. A scientist that knows no limits, except by what life forces on her. Yeah, it just depends on what her motivations would be. Like, I'd probably have her as like a hidden unlockable character. So, like, if you have to fight her in a boss battle, if you do certain things, then it'll let you unlock her. But if you mess up, then you miss your chance, and you end up with like you'll still talk to her in the future, but it'd be more like you're just talking with a clone. Or she like lost interest in you because you didn't do what you wanted you to do during the battle, so you don't get to have her as a playable character. Something like that. Some gory nightmare thing. That makes more sense. Like just pumping herself with the most useful experimental drugs that she's created, and then just go all out. It wouldn't make sense, like character wise, it wouldn't make sense for her to even do that. She wouldn't even bother. But if we're just saying fuck it, here's some weird monstrosity battle, then yeah, she would just pump herself with everything she's got, and then see what happens. Yeah, maybe it'd be like a alternate scenario or like a secret boss thing. Maybe like okay, if I was gonna make it stay in character, you would end up fighting a clone of her, and then the clone is just unstable and starts mutating into some weird monstrosity. And then like after you go through like this giant ridiculous battle that's like incredibly hard compared to most other battles in the game, that's when you find out she was like, okay, that was a good experiment. Thank you for the notes. And she lets you out of the area that you encountered the clone. Like she didn't intend for you to battle it, but it just kind of happened that way. And then she thanks you for the data, and then just lets you go. And then probably gives you some item or weapon for your trouble. She was just like, okay, that was not in the plans, but here you go. I would say the clone doesn't even know that the original exists, and she just freaks the fuck out. Give her like some weird dialogue, and then depending on whether or not she has the original's memories, can go play off of that. So, like, for example, if she does have most of her memories, it could be, like, warped, where she, like, regrets a lot of life choices, and she just keeps rambling on about things that she wishes she didn't do. Such as, you know, isolating herself for her to work on her lab experiments and stuff, not having a social life or actual friends type of thing. Or relationships. Could be, like, some rambling like that. And so after you beat the boss and the real one, like, lets you go, as you're leaving, she'll just say it's something along the lines of, like, disregard anything that the clone had mentioned. She'll just say it as, like, an off comment. Like, hoping that you weren't paying attention. So yeah, I could totally see her doing something like that. And let's have her leggings and all that match. Yeah, there's multiple ways to go about it to make it interesting. Because, like, I can either make it so that you know it's a clone, or I can make it so that you don't know it's a clone until the end of the battle. Either way, it'll be interesting to learn more about her. Even if she didn't intend for you to learn anything about her. And be like something in like a logbook, so like when you look inside like a journal or something of all the enemies you've encountered, it'll get to like the clone section, and it'll just hint to like she seems to be rambling about something she regrets. And then when you look up the real one just says like she's completely obsessed with experimentation and whatever else. That way you get kind of two sides of the character. Might lower that a bit. Oh, it is way late. Okay, I'll do one more song and then we'll call it for tonight. The boss from Metal Gear. Is this color that's actually needed on her? I think it clashes with her a little bit too much. I'm not gonna use this. I do want to shape up her legs though. I just don't like the way I did this. Yeah, so let me erase this. I can do better. I'm just gonna make it more straightforward instead of wobbly. And then we'll fix any line issues. Okay, I'll stop when I'm done with redoing the lights or the shines of her legs. I should have did it this way from the start. Can't remember. Yeah, I'll select her. If you mean for the line art, like just selecting the line art itself, like this, you can do that by holding Control and then clicking on the layer. At least that's how it works in Clip Studio. I'm not sure about Photoshop. If you're talking about how it is right here, basically I did the same thing but with the flat color layer, and then it just make the shape that I have, and that was just by selecting outside of the line art originally. So that's how I got that. I'm not sure if there's like something specific you're looking for. You're welcome. Almost done. I'll do one more song, and then that should be it for now. Okay. Add the shines to her eyes. And at this point, she's basically done, aside from any of the extra stuff that I usually do. And then her glasses. So yeah, she's pretty much done. I'll toss in one of the extra things I do real quick, just to get it over with. There we go. Alright. So aside from the background and her glasses and whatever else I decide to add, she's basically done. But yeah, this was fun. Yeah, thank you all for coming. I will stream again on Monday. And you guys just take care, alright? You guys have a good night or day, and I'll see you guys later, okay?